Fantastic snowy conditions here in Austria for the second round of the Biathlon World Cups. One or two extraordinary costumes out on the slopes. Good to see the supporters here, even more than turned up yesterday. The stadium was packed yesterday. Now we're going to see a few supporters out on the tracks as well. The second pursuits of the season, Mike, this is always a popular race. It's pretty short and sharp. Based on the result of the sprints yesterday, what sort of problems do you envisage the leaders having?
There's going to be a lot of pressure, absolutely, Patrick. Maybe more so than normal. We've got only 1 minute, 1 second separating the top 30. Very busy and stressful shooting range coming up.
And of course, ski preparation absolutely essential. And with that in mind, let's have a chat with Christian Father, ski technician for the French team. Saying here you can see the micro cuts on the base of the ski. The whole idea is to get the ski to slide on a layer of water. If there's too much water, you have to make sure that the ski disperses that. And if it's very cold, you have to try and keep a little bit of the water under the base to make the glide that little bit quicker. And of course the pressure from the ski onto the snow melts the snow, and so similar sort of theory to a car tyre. Saying they take about 20 pairs of skis, and they're half of them prepared for the cold, half of them prepared for the warm, the humid conditions. And then they just check one pair after another, after another. There's only a couple of the pairs for general use that should be able to cope with all the conditions. So as every season, the important thing is to come back with the old skis, decide what was good, what was bad, take them back to the company and get brand new ones that hopefully are that little bit better. And it's a never-ending process, always trying to improve on what you had last time round. Well, it's a huge part of the sport, Mike. Interesting stuff there, of course. The technicians are really the unseen heroes. We think the Norwegians were a little bit below par in the waxing hut yesterday. They're not going to admit that. The skiers certainly won't admit that because they realise just how hard the technicians work. But percentage-wise, good pair of skis to a bad pair of skis?
It's slim margins, but then you look at those margins. Every area of biathlon are about slim margins. I think all teams have got are bringing in experts, but really it's the main 6 big teams: Russia, Norway, of course, Austria and France. They've got such budgets that they can make it a little better more often than some of the lesser teams, and that for me is at least 1% extra to your race time. And the French team there working in the tunnel in Oberhof to get this perfection on skis back in October.
Well, we're due off in just over 5 minutes time. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with the action. Welcome back to Hochfilzen, just in time to see the profile of the course. You don't really get the full idea of the ups and downs involved in this course. It's the 5th race of the season as far as the individual races go, and we're starting to see the cream float to the top of the World Cup tables, although all the big names except for Martin Fourcade have had minor trip-ups. Emil Hegler-Svensson, who we saw there, certainly had his yesterday. A disappointing race outside the top 30.
He'll be really gutted about that. He's so competitive, and to lose so many points on Martin Fourcade early on.
Well, here's the start sheet for today. Andreas Bernbacher gets the early lead, having won his 5th World Cup yesterday in the sprint event, just out-sprinting Martin Fourcade, although the wind conditions certainly played their part there. Further down, Tim Burke goes off number 22. Lukas Hofer looking very quick, but let himself down with the standing shoot. Svensson, who won this race last year, starts from number 34. Can he make it all the way up into the top 5? Certainly, if he has the race of his season, he's capable of that. Birkeland, another young Norwegian, goes off in the late 40s. Russell Courier of USA. We've got Florent Claude of France. Needs some good shooting to improve his position and get some World Cup points. Top 40 with World Cup points. Only the top 60 from yesterday qualified to race.
It's marginal, Patrick, but this little powder snow situation happening now. Yes, there are voorlaufers, that's pre-skiers going around the track at the moment, but it might slow Bernbach or Foucault down just a little bit before the first shoot.
And it's pretty tight. Okay, the leading three have got a margin of 14 seconds, and then there's 25 seconds back to Freddie Pinter, who goes off number 4. But between there and number 30, Mike, it's very, very tight indeed.
Got to keep warm.
It's more intimidating than a lot of soldiers I've seen recently, but there's good atmosphere in the stadium. That's a good shot of the stands. It's not the most intimate biathlon stadium on the tour, Mike, but since we've been coming to Hochfilzen, it's become more and more popular. The rise in form of the Austrian team has played a part of that. The fact that we're close to Germany is also significant, because at least 60% of the crowd come from Germany to support this man on your left, Andy Bernbach. He looks in good form, doesn't he? Having a good shout with Martin Fourcade. He's not going to get the help of the wind today, because obviously whoever's in front will have pretty much the same conditions as everyone behind him. There's Freddie Pinter, best of the Austrians yesterday. That was a really good race from him, and now lies 5th in the World Cup standings, which is by far his best. So a big moment of pressure for him. What about Fourcade? Can he get his 3rd win of the season?
He's just so strong, and looking at his shooting statistics, 90% in the prone, 90% in the stand. For me, he's the best in the list, certainly in the top 10 on the range, and that's what today's about, is shooting.
Now, here's a man who might be able to contend with Fourcade's pace if it came to a sprint over the last loop. Jakob Fack, excellent performance from him yesterday. The world champion over the individual distance finds himself starting in 3rd place today. Well, welcome to Austria. You are just in time for the start of the 2nd of the men's pursuits of the season. Remember the distance, 12.5 kilometres. The start based on the sprint from yesterday, and the top 60 from yesterday's race are lined up ready to go. Bernbacher and Fourcade, they go at exactly the same time, and there'll be an interesting tactical balance there. With the wind that is blowing around, it's probably not an advantage to lead the way. Back is going to be 3rd off the line.
Back, there's a decent gap, 9-second back to, of course, Ustjugov. And so that leaves a little bit of a lonely race for Jakob Fack. Does he try to close down on the front two?
There goes Pinter, and then you've got 2 Russians behind him. Ustjugov and Makaviev. Bergman goes for Sweden after his best race of the season yesterday. Hallenbader for Switzerland, and he's got a flag to fly because Benny Vega didn't even make it to the top 60 in the sprint. Burf, Legelik, Malishko is there for Russia, the 3rd of the Russians. Freddie Lindstrom going at 37 seconds. And as we go down, Semenov, Lesser, Christiansen is away, new young Norwegian, and Ole Einar Bjorndalen going off number 16. He's got a few places to make up, but last year Bjorndalen went from 19 all the way to number 5. He starts at number 16 today. He could make the podium.
Do you know, I really believe that Bjorndalen can. I also believe that 34, Svensson, can make his way up from 34 to the podium.
Surely not. Svensson, the winner last year, yes, but he didn't show that sort of form yesterday. If the skis were a factor, then maybe they've got it right today. Number 40 just starting. You'll probably recognise Arndt Pfeiffer, who started just behind Vincent Jay, the Olympic sprint champion. And then Volkov, Eberhard, Derry Zemlier going 42, 43, 44. This is number 48, which is Lars Birkeland, and just behind him, Henrik Labe Lund. Those two do a lot of training together. They're going to have fun racing each other on the way round today.
Birkeland was so happy just to nip in behind his teammate, clearly feeling that that's the best way to run his first 2.5 kilometres.
Now, just talk us through the format for this race, Mike, as the last 5 or 6 athletes prepare to start. Obviously the distance 12.5 kilometres.
12.5, and combined off the same track. We'll see them on it all the time. It's 2.5 kilometres. Come into the range, shoot first time prone, 2.5 kilometres skiing again, then shoot prone again, Another 2.5, you shoot the first of the two standings. 2.5 kilometres skiing again, the second stand, and you've got to do this track final time to the finish line. Skiing, shooting combination, as good as it gets and as intense as it gets when there's so many people coming into the range together.
So in short, 5 times round the 2.5 kilometre loop, with 2 shoots in the prone initially and then 2 shoots in the standing position. It differs from the other races or the individual, because in the individual you go prone, stand, because of the labour involved in changing the targets from the prone position to the stand position. They go prone, prone, stand, stand.
The chasing athletes, Patrick, I mean, the mindset is to close the gap down, so there's a lot of tension further back at the front. On the other hand, Martin Fourcade is keeping the pace strong. Look at the split times. Just trying to see who's closing time. I thought Lindstrom might close the gap, but he hasn't. He's lost 2 seconds. Not totally on his best form. Bjorn Dahlen 40 seconds behind. Started at 44, so Bjorn Dahlen unusually pulled back 4 seconds early on.
Anton Shipulin might be worth watching as well. He's in 17th position.